And we are live. So yeah, full-time result, Newcastle 2, West Ham 2. Overall, you'd have to say you take a point only because we've went behind twice and come back twice. But when you're looking at it, we had the opportunities there to go on and win it. I think we looked a bit lethargic, looked a bit tired, despite getting the goals. Good to come back from obviously going 1-0 down very early on. Antonio, I said he was going to be a problem, and lo and behold, he was a problem. I think Antonio got the better of Lascelles today. I really do think, and obviously it goes to show that he lost his man, goes and scores. But we didn't give up. Almirón obviously getting on the score sheet pretty much after 10 minutes or 10 minutes later. Saint-Maximin feeding Kraft, who I think had a really good game today. Crosses into the box, nice low cross, and then it is Almirón to tuck it home. And it's one apiece. But after that period is the period of time where I think that we should have just taken it to them. And that's when we should have got the second goal and gone on to win the game. You know, we had chances of plenty, had a lot of possession in their half, but didn't put it to bed. And then obviously into the second half, they go on and kind of build on their momentum because they needed the points a lot more than we did. Soucek getting the goal from the corner, great corner floated into the box. In fact, back to the back post. Declan Rice gets his nut onto it, hits the bar, comes and falls to Soucek, who then tucks it home, and it's 2-1. But again, we didn't give up. Great work by Newcastle. I actually missed the goal. I saw the replay, but I actually missed the goal live. But Shelvey, great 1-2 between Shelvey and Gale. And obviously Shelvey then tucks it home, and it's 2-2 after about 87 seconds after they've gone and scored up the other end. So 2-2. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I've invited a couple guests along, so don't worry. Don't be just me just chatting along for the whole of it. 2-2. It's an interesting thing to see into it because, again, if we're going into this game, yes, we're confident, but they're even more confident. They've just beaten Chelsea. Yes, we've beaten Bournemouth, but let's face it, Man United have just beaten Bournemouth as well. Bournemouth have conceded 9 goals in the space of 2 games. So you can read into that whichever way you want. But obviously West Ham are coming to this very confident. They need the points more than us. We're more than safe. In fact, for the first time in a long time, we've been looking up the table and obviously missed a real opportunity to kind of go. I think we'd have moved up into 7th place if we had scored and won the game. But all in all, you've got to take into consideration the fact that we went behind twice. Done well. Yeah, I just got to see into it like that, really. As I said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. I'll be inviting some more guests along. They'll be coming along. I'll be just going through the team now, just while I'm kind of waiting for the others to join in as well. But team overall, I'd have to say it's a pretty much decent performance. I think the 2 people that stood out for me are the 2 people that you probably wouldn't have thought that would have started, which is Emil Kraft and Dwight Gale. Now, Emil Kraft, him starting on the right at right back means that Manquillo has to go to left back. And I still wasn't kind of too sure with, you know, a player playing out of position. I don't like the whole Manquillo's heavily right-footed, even though he can play with both. Pushed onto left back, especially when we've got Danny Rose sitting on the bench. And in my opinion, Danny Rose has probably been one of the better players since post-lockdown, whatever you want to call it. So to push him onto left back means that Kraft must be doing something right. But Kraft did have a good game. As I said, he assisted with the first goal and looked solid at right back. So going into this, I think he was definitely one of the better ones. And again, Gale, fantastic performance. I'm surprised he got taken off. But yeah, overall, I'd say those are the 2 standouts. Now I've got Pete, who's wiping his nose. Hopefully he will finish his wiping his nose before coming on. Sorry I had to out you there, bro. And here he is. Bro.
Hay fever, man. Hay fever.
Yeah, man. No, I was just rambling on, man. Just kind of.
Hay fever's killing me, man.
Yeah, no, that's the reason why I haven't been outdoors today, and also the fact that there's been football on. But again, what did you think of today's performance today, man? Obviously, a draw 2-2 is decent, but I think they were there for the taking, bro. Oh, and I think Pete's left us. Okay, so I'm going to ramble on a little bit more until we get Pete back. As I was saying before, kind of Kraft and Gale were the standout guys for me. Hayden went off injured. Hopefully that's not too serious. Nabil Benton then came on. I still think he's got a point to prove. For me, he's not won a contract. I still think he needs to kind of prove himself alongside Shelvey. Shelvey had a really good game today. He always turns up against West Ham. Obviously, I think his first game was against West Ham, and then he bossed it in that game as well. So while we get Pete back, here he is. I think he's back in his normal position. There he is.
Yeah.
I reckon
Tried to do something different, but it didn't work.
Yeah. Let's stick to what you know, man. Stick to what you know. Save me. As I said, I was just kind of rambling on through the teams, really, like who played well. I think the two standouts for me were two players that don't usually start, and that's Kraft and Gale. I think they had two good games as well. But yeah, thoughts on the game overall, bro?
It kind of went as I expected it to. West Ham had to come out and really attack us. Really, they had more. They had more to gain from that game today. They're fighting for something still. It's kind of what I expected from Bournemouth, really. But they came out of the traps. They've got better players. I think we underestimated one or two of their players. West Ham played well, you know. But equally, we were in second gear for the whole of that 90 minutes. And at no point did we look like we were going to step into that third gear. And I think Sky mentioned it at the end. If we had, we'd have won the game. And I think we'd have won the game quite comfortably because they were to have it. They were to be had at the back. And I think I said it while we were messaging during the game. I said that defence was there to be attacked, and we didn't do it enough. So it's disappointing to not take 3 points.
Yeah, I think we missed the real chip when we went and scored, and the momentum was there with us, and then we didn't take it, and then they slowly get back into the game. I can't remember the chances off the top of my head there, but I just really felt at that period of time, around about the 20-minute mark, obviously half time, we could have really just taken it to them, and that's when we should have got the second and third goal and killed off the game. But credit to West Ham, as you said, like they came, they didn't just sit back, they went for it. I think they exploited our weaknesses a lot. You know, Manquillo on that side, I'm still not too sure about playing a right back pretty much out of position, but credit to Kraft, he had a good game on the right hand side. But yeah, I think they really exploited us, like in terms of weaknesses, and Tony definitely got the better of Lascelles, I have to say.
Yeah, Lascelles didn't play well today. That was one of his. That's probably his worst game since the restart. And I don't think he was outplayed. I just don't think his head was in the game. I don't think he was 100% focused, which explained the goal. It was just a simple, you know, just get the ball out of play. That's what Fernandez does really well. He plays very, very simple football. When he needs to get rid of it, he does. He'll put out for a throw in or a corner or down the touchline. He keeps it very simple, but it's effective. Lascelles normally does that, and he didn't today, and he switched off. And I think that affected the rest of his game. Manquillo, I didn't think played well. I have to be honest. He's not suited to the left-hand side. He can do a job and step in. So, like, if he comes on a sub or he needs to fill in for an injury, fair enough. But I personally think he was played there to stop Yarmolenko coming in on the left, but Yarmolenko didn't start. I think because he plays on the right, cuts in on his left, and I think they brought him in and played him there for that reason. But he didn't play well there. I was inside. I was screaming out in the early parts of the second half to get Rose on, because Rose would have handled Bowen and Yarmolenko down their right hand side really well. We just need that little bit more experience today down there.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think Rose would have handled it, and it would have looked so lopsided. I think we had to go down that right hand side because to build up any momentum down the left hand side, it kept stopping and starting. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whoever was over there, whether it be ASM and Manquillo working together, whether it be Miggy and Manquillo working together, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure there because you've got someone who's not comfortable on his left hand side, who's then trying to kind of defend by himself. Because let's face it, like Miggy and ASM not the best in terms of defense, but when you're trying to go forward now, he's not playing naturally on his left hand side, whereas Rose wants to put one forward or whatever and help him support. So it's just that you're kind of killing yourself in that sense. But let's talk about the goals from their point of view, because defensively we looked all over the shop, man. I think you said it as well. Like the first one, Antonio, how's he getting that much space? I mean, Manquillo's not getting out of it either, because again, the 1-2 that he got pulled out of position, Bowen able to cross it in, and Antonio did the business. But defending, why do we look so poor?
To be honest, in that early part of the game, the fullbacks were really, really forward, really attacking, and they just kept catching us on the break, and they kept exposing the fact that our fullbacks were getting so far forward. They were catching us, and they just weren't getting back in the same way. And that was the big part of the problem, is the fact that Manquillo had gone forward, and then we lost the ball and got caught. So then he had to track back, and he didn't track back well enough. But even on the far side, when the ball comes in, Kraft has already got himself forward, so he's having to try and get himself back. But by the time he recovers, the ball's already in the net. So what you would normally expect is that your fullback on the other side is sitting in deeper. So when that ball falls to Antonio, that you've still got someone there as a second cover in terms of the fullback, and that's something that that was quite it was quite obvious in the first half that was happening, but in the second half, I think we were better. We were a little bit better organised. But as I said, I think I said it in the preview, the only way West Ham were really going to get chances today were through set pieces. And that's what proved in the second half. They didn't really look like scoring in the second half, apart from when they put a corner or a cross into the box from a free kick or a corner. And that's been our Achilles heel the whole season, is that we cannot defend set pieces or defend them well.
Well, let's talk about that second goal. As I said, it came from a set piece. I'm not too sure who took the set piece, but it floated to the back post. Declan Rice gets his head on it, hits the bar, and then it just drops to Soucek. So again, that's twice. You know what I mean? Like, again, we should be winning the first ball. The gravity should be coming out and fisting it out or whatever. But then if it's going to drop in the box, you've got to be first to it. And then obviously Soucek, that man, I think that's 2-2 for him as well. Again, this poor defending. I know I hate to use the R word, but I thought we sorted all the whole set piece thing on the wrapper. But it seems like we're kind of going back to old ways that we can't defend set pieces. We haven't got the organisation on board.
Yeah, it seems that way. And for me, Declan Rice and Kraft was a complete mismatch. Declan Rice is good in the air. Soucek is good in the air. I know Lascelles was on him, but he lost Lascelles far too easily for that rebound. Lascelles should have been a lot closer. That he should have never been able to have 2 or 3 yards worth of space around him in the 6-yard box to put that ball in the net. But equally, someone else with better strength in the air should have been on Declan Rice, and if they were, he wouldn't have won that ball so easily. He's good in attacking situations like that. So that was the thing for me. Is it was a complete mismatch in the first place for Declan Rice to be getting marked by Kraft. It was just, like I say, once the ball hits the ball and you watch and you see the replay, everyone just stands around waiting for someone else to do something. It's that no one really took any sort of initiative and say, right, I'm going to take control of this. I'm going to get myself in front of the ball. Everyone just stood around waiting for someone else to do something. And that seemed to be one of the kind of reoccurring themes in our performance today, is that everyone was waiting for ASM to do something. Yeah. ASM didn't play very well, in my opinion. And then there wasn't really anyone that was like, right, I'm going to take the sort of bull by the horns, really, and I'm going to make something happen. And that's why we didn't get into that third gear.
It's interesting what you said about ASM, because I think we do rely on him too heavy. And even then, you can see that West Ham were told strict instructions, stick on him, because any time he had the ball, at least 3 guys around him, very tight, and he had to lay it off very quickly. And that's probably part of the reason why he had to come off as well. Let's flip it onto the positives now. Obviously, we went down twice, but at the same time, we clawed it back twice. Now, see, scored the first goal, very well worked move. Obviously, ASM had a hand in it. Of course, he did. Laid it out to Kraft. Nice drilled in, crossed into the box, and there's Miggy to tuck it home. I want to see more of that from Miggy. I want to see him getting into the box more. I often get onto his back because I know there's that extra gear that we can get out of him. I've seen it a little bit in the second half when he was taking pot shots from 30 yards. I think he took one, went slightly wide. But I like to see him getting in the box more and becoming that second striker. I don't know about you, bro.
Yeah, he just needs to be more selfish. He needs to be more selfish. He's too. I think the one thing you can say the same for ASM as well. In that he's Miggy's too much sometimes of a team player when you don't want him to be. There are opportunities where he could be a bit selfish and just get himself in the box and say, "I want to score. I want to do something myself." And the best players are quite selfish, and they do want it like sort of the limelight to all be on them. What the goal that we saw from Miggy today is exactly what we want to see. We see Longstaff do it in a similar role. I know he was injured today. They are very different players, but they've both got very good attributes in terms of supporting that front man. And that's what we saw today. But we didn't see that arrival in the box enough from him. But then equally, you've got to say the service has got to be there. If you know that the service is coming in, the service is coming in with quality, you're going to always make those runs. But if you're not guaranteed that that ball's going to come into the box, it is going to affect your mindset of, do I go into the box? Do I make that run? Do I be that second man? Or do I just sit back and wait on the edge of the box and just receive the ball there? And it does play with your mind if you're not guaranteed that quality of service.
Before we get into the second goal, it's a good question by Jake. Should we have rotated more players? Now, I kind of agree with Jake because, again, I think we did look very lethargic, very tired at times, especially after the second goal. We should have gone for the juggler, threw on Carroll. I thought we were going to go for it and play long balls. It would have been the icing on the cake for not only Shelvey against West Ham. We all know Shelvey sticks with West Ham, but for Andy Carroll to then score the winner. I'm just thinking, I'm along the same lines as Jake. I think, as much as I love ASM, he didn't have the best of games. Maybe he should have come off the bench, maybe been more of an impact player, given Lazaro more of a chance and opportunity. I don't know about you. What are you thinking?
No, I think ASM needs to play. We already know his influence on the team and how important he is. And I'm quite happy with the fact that, I think between now and the end of the season, I think ASM will play every game. As long as he feels good in himself. And I think he'll always get to about 60, 65 minutes, and depending on the game, will probably come off. So he'll probably do his 60 minutes because if he is going to play every game, we've got to manage him. He's not going to put 90 minutes in every week because what we noticed even in the early parts of the season, well, I certainly noticed it, is that if someone as dynamic as ASM is not going to be as effective as he is, how he has been for sort of 60 minutes, for 90 minutes, because that's where the injuries will come in. That's why he tends to pick up his injuries later on in the game, which is why Bruce is bringing him off. You can't be that dynamic and that athletic and run constantly at that sort of pace at defenders for 90 minutes because you're going to run yourself into the ground. So he needs that rest. So, I mean, as long as he's getting 60, 65 minutes, him on the pitch alone is going to put the opposition's back up because they know they're going to be in a game with him. And he's going to give you 60 minutes to potentially win a game for you. So you've always got to play him. I would have rotated back and I'd have put Rose back on. I know he did the same with Hayden, and obviously Hayden's done his hamstring, so he'll be probably a couple of weeks. And Gale deserved his start. Miggy rotated back on naturally because Longstaff was in. I don't think there was much wrong. I have to be honest. I don't think there was much wrong. I think Rose should have played, but other than that, I think it's fine. It was just, I think it was a mentality. It was a mentality thing today. It was very much that first 25, 30 minutes was very much of a team that was on the beach and going through the motions. And I'm just being honest. Like, whereas there's been talk of pushing top 10 and even potentially only being 4 points behind the teams that are chasing Europe. Within the fans, there's been a lot of that talk, but I think the players know that they're safe, and I think they're quite content with that. And I think that first 25-minute performance said everything, and they were kind of kicked into gear by that first goal going in. So it's a shame. It's a shame because
I often think that that's the difference between obviously us and a Man City. I know we're nowhere near in terms of levels, but even Man City the other night, they walloped Liverpool, like, was it 4-0 or whatever? And even though they've lost the title, they still went out to prove a point. Now, I think we only kicked on every single time that they went and scored. So, okay, at least let's get us back to level pegging. But if we had someone like a Guardiola in charge, he would have said, look, go on, go for it, come on, kick us on. But we just lacked that. And obviously, yeah.
I was going to say,
Yeah, carry on.
I was going to say, just a quick point. I was just going to say, when it went to 2-2, the one thing I put out there, I said, we need to make changes now, and we needed to get players on that were going to go and win us the game. And that was our springboard there, because no one expected us to get back into the game or even that quickly. So that their heads would have dropped, knowing they just got in front and we pegged them back. And that was our opportunity to say, right, we're going to go and win the game now. Bring the likes of Lazaro on or Richie, keep Gale on. I don't know why he came off, but then get Rose on and get Rose bombing down that left-hand side and attacking their fullbacks. That was our opportunity, and it just did not come. So, like I say, it is a shame.
Second goal, pretty. You're gonna have to talk me through this because I only saw the replays because I was still trying to find my feet in terms of tweet streams and all the rest of it. So for the replay, nice 1-2 between Gale and Shelvey, and obviously the finish by Shelvey. But it's good to see obviously getting back into it. We didn't kind of sit like 2-1 down sort of thing, but I don't know why we get into these situations in the first place. I don't know. Maybe I'm too negative, but yeah.
It was a good goal. I thought it was a really, really nicely played goal, and it showed the connection that Gale and Shelvey have. They have an understanding of how they want to play, and that's what made it even more baffling. Is that we got into the game, and then Gale sets up Shelvey with a nice little 1-2, and then comes off. I thought Gale played really well. I thought he had a really good game. He obviously didn't score, which you'd want from a striker, but I thought his link-up play, more so than anything, his work rate to continually stop the centre-backs from having an easy game just playing out from defence. He always made them play long balls. He always put them under pressure, and I really liked that. And equally with Shelvey, for some reason, is up to his levels. The way he gets up and down the pitch since the restart, his work rate is very, very good. He's getting himself into the box, but he's also getting himself back into defensive positions. And the one or two things that I've noticed is when it breaks down, like just from watching it, when it breaks down, the first thing you see on the screen is Shelvey bombing back. And he literally bombs it back to get into position, and that shows me that he's aware, like he's switched on at the moment. He knows how influential he is, and it seems like he's on the ball, and it's really good to see.
No, fair play. And then probably just lastly to touch upon Steve Bruce. Like, obviously, I think he's had a good season. I have to say, got to hold my hands up. Obviously, coming into this. Didn't think much of him. Obviously, coming off the back of Rafa. Quarterfinals of the FA Cup, up to 12th, 40 points mark. 2 points, I think, behind Rafa's score or tally with a couple games to go. Obviously, got Man City up next. I think overall, we've got to hold our hands up and say he's done quite well. Like, he's done what is needed and a little bit more, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd agree. I keep saying it. We're going back to 2 weeks before the start of the season in the Asia Cup, and we didn't have a manager. We barely had a pre-season, and he comes in and he's coming in such difficult circumstances. We even go back to the Leicester game. I know you were at it with Emmy, and I was there with a couple of my mates as well, and to see us get absolutely hammered that game. And I'm walking out of that stadium, obviously being from Leicester myself, thinking, flipping hell, we're going down. Like, we are going down, and you could not see how we were going to hit back from that. And then we go and beat Man U the week after, and then we springboard from there. And you can't do nothing but praise him, no matter what you think about him, no matter whether you want him in charge or not. You cannot do anything but praise him, because he's kept us up, which was the primary aim of the season. And like you said, he's gone a little bit more. He's on 43 points. Our best tally, I think, under Rafa was 45. He's not far off that. I know we shouldn't have comparisons, but we're looking to push on as a team, and 50 points should be our aim now. And there's no reason why we can't get 50 points to see off the season. And fair play to him. But for me, the bigger thing is that he's kept us in the league in order to allow us to be in a position to be taken over. And that, for me, is the biggest thing, because when that happens, that takes us onto a completely different stratosphere to what we are at the moment. And he's played a part in that. It's a fair play to him.
Nah, fair play to him. We won't get into too much on Man City today, but we'll save it for the preview later on down the line. But again, thanks for joining me, bro. I know there's another game, so we'll watch that and obviously chat in the group chat. And yeah, I'll see you later on during the week, bro.
Definitely. Take care, man.
Man.